So I made an earlier video for the use of a pocket pry bar and the use thereof as a EDC tool. Of course, I showed you many type of pocket pry bars, but I will take out this pocket chisel type of pry bars. So more of a demolition type of tool, if that could be applicable, and even put in the EOD. So this is the bomb disposal, squad demolition type of tool as a big example of a pry bar that you could take with you. It's still a small pry bar, but it could do a job. Huh? So you could hammer it down somewhere and still have it pry. You can also see that it has a edge on both sides. This one has an edge on one side, which I like better even. But are those the only options? Yeah? And what is there, for example, a more budget-friendly option? This type is quite, yeah, budget efficient for titanium type of pry bar. And also it has quite some functionalities, including this Phillips head next to all the other things, and also this, yeah, how do you call this? Tools to unscrew or screw on. So there are, for example, Stanley makes this one. This is a pocket chisel. It's a little bit different, chisel as compared to pry bar. So these chisel type of edges are still not sharpened. Some people do sharpen them, but I don't think this is necessary. And just as a pry bar, but you could use this Stanley Fatmax type of chisel as a pocket-friendly pry bar as well. And the benefit is because you can just, I'll first show it in closed state. So the size in the closed state is still less long as the EOD pry bar. Of course, a lot more bulky as you compare it in bulk. There's completely no comparison. So if you're only strapped for the space, that your pockets are not as deep, then perhaps this could be a better option. Especially because you could have a very good sharp chisel, because it can be folded down. But if you can take a look here, you can see that it's even longer than the longest EOD bar once opened up. So these edges are both not sharpened, so still quite thick. As you can see, the front is sharpened. This is a type of chisel, of course. Also, it's made that you can hammer this side and it will click. So there's a system, these things will intertwine with each other, and then there's a system here that involves those. So this is a Fatmax 25mm 1-inch variety. A very capable pocket-friendly tool. Of course, it's quite hard to open one-handed, so I took my other hand. You see those two things, they will interact, they gripe there, and that gives a very good fixed situation. So you can just fold it back in, and you have something that is not that easy to cut yourself. Still, please note that part of the chisel is exposed, so it can cut up quite easily, also when it would fold out. So a rubber band or something else could help. Another option is to go for a utility type of solution. This is the chisel knife of Hilterforth. As you can see, it's a little bit longer than the EOD, a lot wider, of course. You can also see, especially with the sheet, definitely no comparison, but this could be a hybrid between a chisel and a knife. So with this type of tool, you get a good sheet. The Hilterforth sheet can be attached to your loophole of your belt, as you can see here. And also there's a drainage system in place. So the top has a hole, or the bottom has a hole, as you can see here, which can help drain the water. As you can see, the sheet is quite long, but you can have a quite short knife. As you can see here, only part of the sheet is used. So it could be a lot shorter sheet, but I will explain later why the sheet is so extremely long. So if you compare those two, so this is carbon, it's also quite thick, not as thick as titanium one is. It's, I think 1/3 of the width. But you can carve up things where needed, but also can use this as a demolition tool. And why would you opt for this? This has a very nice handle, even better than those with paracord, of course. So that could be beneficial. And if you look at this type of knife, there could also be this other option, which has the same sheet, also by Hilterforth. This is called the heavy duty knife, or the GK series. And this one is called the Chisel knife, also known as the STK model. So if you open this one, so if you have a very sturdy knife, you can also use it for some prying work. Of course, less heavy prying. You can see you have a knife similar size or even longer, and this has a completely different length than the other one, but they share the same sheet. So that is the reason why the sheets are so comparable, and also why they didn't make use of making a shorter sheet for the yellow STK one, because they wanted to have both options available that could be used in there. Also, this is a carbon steel, so you have to maintain it. There's a nice strong point. Also, this point is nice and strong, so it will not break that easily and could do some light prying tasks. But they have the benefit that they can also carve things up when needed. So those are some of the options that could be used, but I think they are a little bit out of scope because we were talking about chisels, and the Hilterforth might be a chisel type of knife, and also the Gross knife could have some prying ability, but it's a little bit different. Still strong options. You can also go for an extremely budget option, and this is a stone chisel. So you can use this, for example, for when you're building a house and you have to replace the cement that is cemented between the bricks. This can be used, or other options if you have to cut out a place and you have to, for example, enter electronics or other type of plumbing. It's a lot less thick even than this demolition tool of titanium, but that is very thick, as I also mentioned before. But still a good size. It's also carbon steel, but very strong. And of course you could just go in and get any type of steel and use that. I also showed you it is very flat, the width. But the thing is, with a stone, this is a geodor splitting chisel, as you can see here. Also the dimensions are there. You have something that is known to be very strong, and also you already have this chisel type of frame. It's also chiseled down on both sides. If you just want it as a pry bar, it might be a little bit too sharp. It's not extremely sharp, but because of the sharpness, you could also use it to open some boxes where needed. But you might have a very good budget option instead of the EOD pry bar. Of course, you will miss this edge, which can be very beneficial. But on the other side, you get a lot more leverage because the more length, you put some electrical tape or some paracord solutions, or perhaps drill some holes like also this demolition tool EOD one has. You might have a very good compact, very slim option to also have a very small type of pry bar with you. And this is not very small, so to say. This is in length the longest of them all, especially if you compare it to all the other options. I will also put the Stanley Fatmax in comparison, and the little pocket-like pry bar solutions also for your size comparison. So hope this gives you an idea of the sizes and how they stack up. Personally, this is of course a very nice option because it is sturdy, very good, and also light, but it's also quite costly. This is a very good all-rounder for not too heavy work. If I would really go into really heavy work, especially working in stone, I would just use this one. Even if this one is at least as good, I don't want to damage this one compared to this, and I wouldn't care that much. This is also a very good solution if you want to have a chisel with you, but you want to have it safe and without yeah, without the sheet option that also is offered by the hilterforth. As you can see, a chisel knife solution, which is quite sturdy and also a good solution, but not that wide, but offers you a little bit more of a cutting edge. I hope you liked this video. Have a great day. EDC is out. Bye bye.